that will start soon. And after, talk a bit about our Varium fee and stuff like that.
I was just reading a Slack from. Yeah, so guys, I'm very living from my car today because I'm also at the beach with the family, but I couldn't miss the Varium Uber having very live. So, but it's fine. I'm just chilling in the car. I can show you guys the nice view I have.
Nice T-shirt.
Oh, I have a good T-shirt on too. This T-shirt was sent to me. Oh man, I can't remember his handle now, but in like 2016, the other side says Varium Digital Reserve as well. So I'll be walking around the Jersey Shore boardwalk with a Vericoin T-shirt on today.
Guys, real fast, I'm looking at YouTube and I don't see. I just see it's coming up still. I could be wrong here, but I don't see the live stream unless I copied the link wrong or something.
I don't know. For me, it's up and running.
Is it? Okay.
Oh, so maybe you just have to refresh or something, Kevin.
Okay, no, I see it now. All right, no problem. I think I've got the wrong embed code on the site though, so I'll take care of that really fast.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So yeah, Mderasse, he has a calculator going for the Uber halving, the triple halving, whatever you want to call it. Some people are drinking triples. Some people are at the beach. but yeah, it's going to be, I guess it's going to be Sunday now. Saturday or Sunday, depending on what the difficulty does, because the block time varies a little depending on the change in difficulty. So that's going to happen this weekend. We will, I'm sure, I'll try and be on the Slack at the moment that it happens, and anyone who wants to be on the Slack at the moment that it happens will probably be fun. And then we'll drop down to less than 1 Varium per block reward. And the fees are still high for a bit. So there will be some blocks that'll still be higher than 5 Varium, just in terms of fees occasionally. But most of the blocks will be less than 1 Varium. And we're also going to talk about, because of the halving partly, and because we're transitioning to this new phase, we think it's kind of necessary to lower the fee from the exorbitant 0.2 that we set in the beginning to help to differentiate Vericoin and Varium. And we can keep it still higher than Vericoin, but we can bring it down lower, because what's going to happen is the reward is going to be much smaller. So that means that every smaller unit of reward will be still in the same size transaction input, and the fees are calculated based on the transaction data size. So you will pay more actually after the halving per Varium coming from a reward, because of you're using the same amount of data for less coins. So you'll kind of pay more per Varium after the halving. So after the halving, and as part of 1.3 release, which Mderasse has been working on extensively to handle the streamlining the Bitcoin 0.19 fee system and all the interdependencies that are there with that, so that we can schedule the new fee to roll in at some point after everyone has updated to the Varium 1.3 wallet. So we'll just go through the halving this weekend. We'll get the 1.3 wallet ready. It'll have a scheduled changeover for the fees, which will happen at some point in the future. We will schedule into the 1.3 wallet. And Mderasse, I think, posted on the Slack about the actual fee size that we're thinking makes sense. Do you want to talk about that, Mderasse?
Yeah. So basically, right now the fees are at 0.2 by kilobyte, and you have a minimal fee of 0.2 also. The main idea was that we put them way lower to actually 0.001, which, based on what the halving and the inflation cut, I think it could make sense. For sure, it will implicate the fact that when people are sending huge block, the reward to the miners will be a bit smaller. But from my point of view, I mean, in the current situation right now, the reward given to the different miners is not that big, because there is not that much transaction creating block really heavy. So I think it will be more interesting for the different type of people and miners mainly to have a lower fee in the current situation.
Mm-hmm. And it's also kind of interesting. It just because once we schedule it in and the fee drops, it probably means that the miners are going to get less fees net, but it doesn't necessarily mean that because people honestly send Varium less right now because of the fees. I mean, if you're going to send Varium, you kind of want to do it. You want to do a big chunk at one time, minimize the cost per transaction. You don't want to do a lot of little transactions with Varium because you'll do 0.2 at least every time. So if the fees are lower, people might be more inclined to do more transactions. So I don't think the fees that the miners will earn will from the block, from all the transactions in the block, will actually scale exactly with the change in fee. I think they will still actually earn more fees than the difference in the fee, because there will be more transactions at a lower cost. But yeah, predominantly small miners will need to get their coins out of these inputs with small rewards, without the exorbitant fee, especially.
Okay.
And then
So
we could talk about the Bittrex thing.
Yeah, I was
as
gonna
well.
say, I mean, unless you guys have anything else to talk about on the fee structure with Varium.
no, I will talk about the different update on the development after
Okay,
Bittrex.
go ahead. We can touch on Bittrex later.
No, go ahead. I will come back. Let's talk
We'll
about
do
Bittrex.
Yeah, we'll do Bittrex. This might be a pressing issue for some people, though it's kind of temporarily resolved now. But so we had a call with Bittrex, and actually it was I think it was the best call we've ever had with Bittrex. Never really had a bad call with Bittrex. I mean, when they delisted Varium, it wasn't a happy call. But it kind of turns out we were kind of talking about it with them. Varium, especially at the stage that it wasn't a great fit for Bittrex, again, because of the transaction fees are high and people don't send Varium much, and it's a digital reserve and so on and so forth. And, as usual, we refuse to pay to get on exchanges because we don't really have cash to blow on that, number one. But number two, out of principle, it also is a poor place to spend money because an exchange could disappear at any point. Even the supposed good exchanges could get hacked or have some sort of security flaw, like Twitter just did, for instance. Like, the other day, and like a 14-year-old, or the other week, and like a 14-year-old got access to like Donald Trump's account and stuff. It's kind of crazy. But that could happen at any moment. So giving these companies, which are running a business that they earn revenue on, an upfront payment without necessarily a guaranteed service after doesn't really make sense. So that's our kind of starting point, and they actually discriminated between projects like ours and your typical fly-by-night token project, which was nice, because we are different. We are decentralized. We don't have this like slush fund that has hundreds of millions of dollars in it or whatever, and we never paid to be on Bittrex or any of the exchanges we're on, and we want to just have a free market, basically, is the way I see it. And if they make money, if they don't make money, someone else will make money. But at the same time, on the trading. But at the same time, Bittrex is a really good exchange. They do actually have really good security practices. They do have regulatory compliance for all 50 states in the United States, which is not trivial. And I'm sure that alone costs them quite a bit of money. I know Poloniex, which was one of our other previous exchanges, which has now taken a different form, they basically abandoned the U.S. because of the regulatory environment. And Bittrex has a pretty good amount of volume and has been around for a long time, and we've known them. So they basically gave us a 90-day period. Bittrex Global, we don't know. I don't know what the distinction is, to be honest. We have to look more into that. But we spoke with Bittrex Global, a representative of Bittrex Global, and they extended a 90-day grace period for our low volume situation. Bittrex US, we haven't spoken with explicitly, so I don't know exactly if there's going to be a difference there or not. We're going to have to find out, or we have to speak with someone else. But they extended a 90-day grace period for us because we were in the bottom 35 at the time that they pulled the numbers, which is probably not. We're probably currently not in the bottom 35, but at the time that they pulled the numbers, we were. And in terms of trading volume. And long story short is they want a certain amount of trading fees to occur for it to be worthwhile for them, I think, to have a coin, especially a coin that has its own chain, which is a distinction also from the token groups. The token groups, you just run Ethereum or you run whatever other smart contract platform, and you don't. You just have to run it on a large enough server that can accommodate multiple tokens, but you don't have to run a separate chain for each token. So there's a distinction there. We're actually slightly more costly for them to maintain, but they're willing to give us 90 days to meet their requirement, which is their recommendation. Which sounds like it's pretty much what they need to get to maintain us, which is 3 BTC volume in the VRC BTC market on Bittrex daily average, which is 30 plus grand a day in VRC BTC trading, which is pretty significant.
As of now, I mean, could be 60,000.
True.
But yeah, I mean, the key thing is you can look at the dollar aspect of it, but it's 3 Bitcoin daily average is what they want to see in 90 days. And really, she also said it was, I think their initial plan before we talked with them was we need to get a daily average of 1 Bitcoin in 30 days, 2 Bitcoins in 60, and 3 in 90. And once we explained where we're at, what we're doing, the benefits of our project and all of these things, they just decided, look, we're going to give you those 90 days. And in 90 days, let's see what happens. So the other thing that we communicated with them on that I think is worth noting is they kind of made hints that they want it to be mutually beneficial as well. And so we're going to communicate with them on a fairly regular basis in terms of some of the things that we're doing in terms of progress with development. And I don't know what capacity they can help us, but they did make it seem like they would do what they can. I don't know what that means, and I don't know if you guys got the same feeling either.
Yeah, well, she did talk. She said that there is other factors besides volume. Like for them, it's user acquisition and things like this. So yeah, I mean, I think one thing that we can do is try and highlight in particular, because we're in this circumstance with Bittrex right now. We can try and highlight that VRC trading on Bittrex is probably the best place to trade VRC right now. I mean, regardless of this situation. And maybe we can make it easier to access. Well, it's already quite easy to access Bittrex from the website, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, maybe there's some connections we can make with them that might be beneficial to them making a decision later on about what happens. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, in terms of the community, I mean, if you guys want to trade VRC, do it on Bittrex for the next 90 days, you know, at least.
Yeah. And you know, and to some extent, without changing your, like for me, I'm a long-term holder, so I'm not a trader of Bearcoin.
Yeah. Right.
But what I'll probably do is increase my buy orders if it hits a certain low level, and then if basically just put some algorithmic trading in, so that if I say acquire another 10,000 at X, if it then goes up to a certain level, you know, and when I'm doing that, when I'm doing the sell, it's also with the idea that, okay, if it goes back down, there's a guaranteed buyer, which would be me buying back essentially. So yeah, I'll be making some profit maybe doing that, but my intention really is just to kind of keep keeping some level of activity on it. And it's not like I'm doing it just for the sake of trading, like just for the sake of doing the trade. I would want to buy more. I'm being a little bit more conscious now, I think, than just, okay, I've got my stash, I'm staking, and you know, one day I'll sell some of it and buy a nice little house in the mountains. So yeah, I think that wraps up on Bittrex. I don't think there's anything. I mean, the key points, like Doug mentioned, were also that we did speak with Bittrex Global, not Bittrex US, and we don't quite understand that distinction yet. And I plan on reaching back out to them next week, just as a courtesy follow up, thanking them for the meeting, because it was a good meeting, and I think it's worth telling them thank you too for giving this 90-day period.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So go ahead. I know you got some development topics you want to discuss. Go ahead.
No, I just want to give a quick update of where we are right now on the Verium update on Verium Vault 1.30. So you might have seen, if you're on Slack in the development channel, there was multiple pull requests lately. So the idea is right now we finish mainly the cleanup of what we don't need from Bitcoin. And I will work a lot on the fee in the coming days. And technically, after, we should be able to release. So that's kind of great news. Aside of that, there was a lot of other things done, but more on the infrastructure side. Right now, I'm working on migrating the full Vericoin and Verium infrastructure to some less expensive servers that will be more powerful, actually. So that's kind of a great deal, I would say. And aside of that, I also start to migrate what we call DNS seeder. So software that permit the wallet to find peers faster by requesting some DNS server on the web. So I just finished to migrate them, and that will help a lot on the side of finding peer and speed up the download of the blockchain. So that's the great news. Aside of that, we also have a community member that is helping a lot on the development lately, Mderasse, which I've been working on the block explorer, something specially developed for Verium, and you will adapt it for Vericoin in the future, because right now it's more for proof of work than proof of stake. And we are working with him right now to put it online. I start to prepare the infrastructure, and I hope to finish it by Monday. But for sure, I will keep the community in touch on Twitter and on all the chat platform. So the main word is it's moving forward, and I really hope we'll be able to release soon, since we are now only on the fee implementation. I say only, but there is a bit work, and that's it for me.
Okay. So not to go, it kind of relates to, I mean, it was something that was brought up in the Bittrex meeting, and I just think it's worth saying. One of the things that I mentioned was, in the past, when our community was thriving, and again, we've got a small but active community, And so in some levels, I believe it's stronger than it's ever been. But what we saw in 2017, maybe the beginning of 2018, we had a lot of people come into the project that really wanted to be involved. And we've taken steps. I mean, not necessarily like strict formal steps, but there's things in place now so that as people are entering the community and they want to get involved, we have more ways for that to happen. So I know it can be better. I know we've got Trello board that we're using, and I think that I think the way we're using like GitHub is a little bit more active now. So what I'm saying is as I hope more and more people come into the project, like GitHub as an active member of the community now, do everything you can to try to like engage them as best as you can. And the more people we can have involved and staying involved with it, the better off we're going to be. So it's something that I think is worth mentioning, and just keep that in your mind in terms of like as people are coming in, the more people we can have actively developing, the better.
And also, like, one of the things that, to follow up on Kevin's point, that's kind of interesting, I found, is that occasionally, it's not all the time, but occasionally, the most vocally upset people in the community can also be the most active community members afterwards. So there's been like multiple occasions where someone comes in and they're like, this is this blah blah blah, this doesn't work, or this is a scam, or whatever. And then we talk to them a little bit, and then they actually become like really active community members for a period. Like, so I would say, to add on, follow up on what Kevin's saying, not only engage people, but even if they're coming in with like an attitude or whatever, sometimes it's because they want the project to be better, and they're passionate about it.
Sure.
And it can seem like, they're a troll or whatever, but it might actually be that they really would like to have a positive commitment, and they feel like it's a negative one at the time. So there's that as well. I mean, I would say the circumstance with Varium fellow was quite interesting. He kind of went on a rant for a few days about delaying the Uber halving, and actually he made some really good points, and it turns out everybody agrees with it. And I thought it was cool that we could kind of turn on a dime like that pretty smoothly, with a new vote that had more votes and was clear majority in favor of a different path. Probably with more people active in that second vote in the community, and this is and now we're in like a really exciting time, heading into the Uber halving, and it'll be quite interesting to see what effect this has on the dynamics of the system. I think it'll be fine. I don't foresee any issues. And then, of course, the hope is that the supply-demand balance shifts towards the demand. That's kind of the intention of the halvings. And to have a reserve, I mean, and ultimately to have the opposite of what's happening right now pretty much all over the world, which is essentially there's no peg to these national currencies, and they're just printing the hell out of them. And you can like watch the goods prices go up in real time. It's kind of crazy. Gold like doubled in the last like 6 months, for instance. Pretty wild. So we're looking to have a reserve in a currency that is as easy to transfer as an email, but ultimately maintains its value in the long run relative to these national currencies, which will not maintain their value. I mean, that's a guarantee. I mean, like, milk used to be 25 cents in the US, and those days are long gone. And that was before we started printing the hell out of the money ever since pretty much 9/11. Post 9/11, we've been just printing the money like crazy. So hopefully what we have here with the halving and with our system is something that in the long run is, by the restrictions on the supply and assuming some increasing demand, a guaranteed value over time as opposed to a diminishing value. Like, I literally don't want to hold dollars right now. Like, I'm trying to shed dollars like crazy right now because I feel like they're just bleeding.
Right. No, and that's I made an investment recently in diversified. It was, put more into crypto, and I bought real assets. That's where you want to put your money right now. And so I invested in a project here in Romania, agricultural project.
Oh yeah, nice.
Because it's inflation proof. I mean, so but no, you're right, and that's the thing. You want to have, like, I mean, that's a topic for another thing. We don't want to. That's another video we could do in terms of like monetary policy. But there is no question right now that the dollar around the world we're going to see levels of inflation that I don't think I've seen in my life. I mean,
I actually think that there was a at the last bull run, I thought that the 2020s was going to be the time where crypto really starts to break into the industrialized world, just in terms of timing and technology and apps and things like this, more of the infrastructural stuff. But now with this insane money printing, which has probably set a new precedent for future money printing, we could crypto. I mean, this next bull run might really deeply penetrate into the industrialized world, and more than I thought. And I think we're getting ready, and we should continue to actively get ready for that, both personally and as a community. I think there's a good chance that, not that crypto is the world's reserve currency in 5 years, but that there's going to be major strides going forward in I think the coming years.
I think it's also forcing a lot of the general public to start questioning what is money when the government can just make it out of thin air. The question, like, political side of things, there was always these arguments like, oh, we need to get more money to schools, and people are like, well, where are we going to get the money at? Well, the answer was, you just make it, you just print it. It doesn't, like, just make it up. So, so a lot of people are now realizing, like, wait a minute, like, how does this all work?
Yeah.
And there's where you see money going into gold, agricultural, like actual assets that have limited supply or things that have actual physical value. And
but what it does, how it works is it robs value from the existing dollars already in the market.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did you see it? Did you see MicroStrategy, which is a business intelligence?
Yeah.
They bought $250 million worth of Bitcoin. And when you see things like that, where you have companies making those kind of investments, that's when you start realizing, like, the argument that Bitcoin one day will go to zero is just foolish now.
It's dead. Yeah.
It's out the window. Okay, so we want to hit some questions, that way Doug can get back. Let's get some of these questions then. I'm laughing because I'm going to read you the question straight as it comes.
Okay.
This was dated August 12th from V. Puderin. I'm guessing his first name is Vitalik. It says, when the binary chain is implemented, how many transactions per second will it be able to facilitate?
It will be on the, so it'll depend on the Varium hash rate, but basically it's the current maximum, which there is a maximum set, mostly to prevent serious issues due to internet latency and the distribution of blocks around the world evenly. The maximum that will be in effect will be on the order of hundreds of transactions per second. roughly equivalent to Amazon pre-Corona's transaction volume. I don't know what it's like right now. But it will depend on, it won't just suddenly be able to access that kind of capacity. It will depend solely on the hash rate of Varium. So as more miners come into Varium, this throughput will open up.
Okay. Next, someone asked, Matthias asked, do you guys have any tasks for the community except the general stuff like help each other, spread the word, and the like? Happy happening. So I think it's a great question. Like, and this is where kind of alluded to earlier. We've got the Trello board, and we don't really have a formal. And I think it can be more formal. One of the things I've asked in the past is if there's anybody in our community that is, by trade or by their profession, or they've studied like project management aspects, I'd love to have you take a look at what we're doing on the like delegation side and how we're managing this project on like the back end stuff. Like that type of knowledge would be helpful. And so, yeah, I don't know off the top of my head if there's any like specific task, but that's where the Trello board and to some extent Slack could be better utilized, I think. So as people come in, they want to get involved. There's a like a task board that you can look at and go, okay, well, yeah, I can do that. I can do this, or I want to be involved in this. But really, somebody that's got this experience in terms of project management would be really valuable. So if anyone has, I know there are a few people that have indicated that they would like to help with that, but I don't think anything's ever really come of it. So just get with any of us and and we'd love to get support on that side of things, because obviously it's not my strength, and Doug's got is not probably his strength either. And Mderasse is just constantly kicking ass doing work. So, but someone that can kind of take that like bird's eye view and understand like how we can maybe increase our process or improve our processes and workflow a little bit better, and then especially in terms of delegation.
Yeah,
it's a good question. I wish I had a specific thing, but that's, again, more importantly than that, if we can find somebody that can help in that overarching regard, would be best.
Yes.
All right, this was on August 7th.
I think.
Go ahead.
I will just add something. So, as we talked earlier, we are more prepared than in 2018 about the infrastructure and stuff like that. I'm also working on the side to deploy a new documentation app to improve the documentation, make it easier to update and stuff like that. So soon there might be some work to do on that, like write documentation about Varium, how to install the wallet, how to send coin, and all of that. So the communities will be more than welcome to come help on that. And after, is classical stuff, I would say, like share with your friends, share on Twitter, retweet and stuff like that. That would help people, us, in order to make more people come and more interested by the project.
And give some away too. I mean, while it's still like, while Varium's at like what, 17 cents, and Vericoin's at 5 cents. Buy like a small amount that you and buy a small amount with the intention of it. You're gonna like give it away. You can give like $5 away, but you can give it away in a creative manner as well. And by giving it away in a creative manner, you're letting more people know about it. But now that somebody has it, they kind of like, oh, cool, I've got this. Like, especially people that are not into crypto, when you can then, because it's hard for them to comprehend it. And it's hard for them to want to take all the steps to get crypto, especially if you don't understand it. But if I just say to somebody, hey, congratulations, you won 50 Vericoin. And I'm going to work, I'll get your wallet set up and whatever. And I'm going to send, like, cool, what is it? I do that on my radio show. I do on Sundays. And it's like, okay, sometimes I have these little contests and I'll give the winner 50 Vericoin. And even the people who don't win, not like I got thousands of listeners, by the way, but even if you don't win, people might be going, "Oh, cool. What's this Vericoin? Like, what's it for?" It's a conversation starter. So versus just telling someone, "Oh yeah, buy Vericoin." At this point, it's so cheap. Have some just to kind of almost give away, and I think that is a way to kind of engage people into the project too.
Yeah.
So just
and also like just talk to. I mean, one of the key fundamental things that needs to be done that we've talked about before is educate people on money. Like that's I mean, if you're I'm talking about non-crypto people here.
Mhm.
That's really the first step. And actually that's what I've been doing mostly with like my coworkers over the last number of years. They'll find out that I do cryptocurrency stuff, or I'll talk about it or whatever. Just in jest, I don't tell people to just buy coins. I don't think that that's the way to go.
No.
So they'll just be like, okay, like what is it, blah blah blah, and then I'll send them the Satoshi white paper, and I'll give them like a little 5-minute spiel on like what it is and why it is, and but the first step really is what is national currencies. What are they? What is dollars? What is fiat? And after that, you don't even really have once they get that, you don't really have to even tell them to buy it. They're just going to be like, okay, yeah, I should probably get a little involved in this, and then they'll be like, what should I buy? And then I'll be like, I can't really tell you, and then they'll end up buying Vericoin and Varium because they trust me, and they know, and I tell them one of the key things is, is the project going to disappear or not? That's like kind of a key thing. Like you don't want to put a small or large amount of money in something that's likely to disappear. And so that's one of the attributes we have, which all these fly-by-night projects do not, including Yams, which was on crypto Twitter. I don't know if you saw this, but apparently there's this new class of asset called DeFi assets, and there was one called Yams, and like there was some flaw in the smart contract, and I don't know. The whole system is like dying, and people lost like a lot of money. And you want to stay away from the fly by nights. You want to learn what regular money is, and then learn how cryptocurrency is different, and then learn what projects and teach what projects offer those things, and have shown the capacity to survive the very tumultuous market swings.
Yeah. I think that's important too. I think for multiple reasons, but also the longer our project is running, it shows sustainability, but two, it also shows like you've got a blockchain now with Vericoin that's been running since 2014. That's not a small feat if you think about it.
No, it's actually not. It's really not.
No, so I think that's impressive, and that has value itself. And we've seen what can happen. I mean, look, here's the deal. I got involved in the project initially in 2014 as a someone who invested. 2016 October it was, I believe, is when I first started getting involved with the community and doing some things with the project. At that point, Vericoin was 2.3 cents each.
Mm-hmm.
Now it had a higher Satoshi exchange. I mean,
Yeah.
so I mean, I think Bitcoin was at $720. Okay.
Yeah.
But fact is, it went from 2.3 cents to a little over a year later, and we saw it at $4 for a day or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm not promising anyone. I'm not even talking about. I hate to speculate on price, but I've seen how quickly things can change, and the fact that we are alive and incrementally getting getting stronger. Now, again, everyone's going to say, "Oh, well, we should have done this by now," and I agree to some extent on a lot of that stuff. But we're not dead, and we're not getting weaker.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
there's where I feel like there will be another big push. The key thing is when this next big push happens, it's easy to get excited about the price. The number one thing we should be looking at is the number of people coming in and the number of those people
and retention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the main metric, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to make this project really ironclad, solid, where it's not going anywhere, because the community is stronger and bigger, more users, more people contributing. That's the real value. That will not go away. So, and that's where I think, for me, that's the biggest thing I'm looking at. The price we've seen also the price go from 4 cents to 50 cents overnight as well, with no reason. That's whatever. That's not exciting to me. What's exciting was what we saw when the community was building up. So anyway, I got one more question, I believe. So we have this one. Okay, wait, this is a new one too. Okay, what is the timeline for a universal Vericoin? We have two questions coming up. This one, what is the timeline for a universal Vericoin Varium mobile wallet? And what do you need from the community to make this happen? I know this was being worked on, but suddenly canceled. A lot of people with mobile devices in developing nations could get involved with spending and staking Vericoin, at least. If this was made available as PC staking is not feasible, and mobile staking is more attractive in general. And that's from Mderasse. I agree. Until we have a mobile application or a mobile wallet, you're never really going to have the
viral potential.
Yeah, you're not going to have the use cases either, to be quite honest. I mean, you need to have the QR code where just, that is, to me, where that's when we can talk about going more, viral and mainstream and have more use cases. So I don't know if you guys want to answer that in terms of a timeline.
Maybe Mderasse has an idea about that more than I do, because I'm not that familiar with mobile development, to be honest.
Okay, there will be a big guess here. Right now, we are working on the Verium wallet, and soon we'll move to the Verium to the Vericoin wallet, and we'll be in 0.19 based on the Bitcoin 0.19. I know that in Bitcoin 0.20 there is some change, and this change might permit us to put by way easier way the wallet on the phone with the QR code scan, with easy to send money and to send coins and everything. But it's a big guess. I didn't try it yet. Actually, there was already a bit of the implementation is 0.19. So I tried to make the Verium wallet work on my phone, but it wasn't enough developed, I would say, to make it work. But for sure, as soon as the two new wallets are released, I will for sure try to go on the 0.20 and release and try the Vericoin on the Android phone. I don't know yet for Apple.
Yeah, and he said that as well, and I didn't specify, but he asked about at least for Android.
Okay.
All right, and the next question, and this is the last one, and we can wrap this up, is this is from Will. So I'm guessing this is Will, I know, because he says, I've ranted about this before, but trying to get volume for 2 coins too much. Is trying to get volume for 2 coins too much? Shouldn't the focus on the exchange level be Vericoin, the cash, and Verium will feed off of Vericoin? So make it cheaper and easier to buy Verium with Vericoin. So if you want to use any other crypto to buy Verium, punish the hell out of them with high fees. We can incentivize holding and mining Verium in other ways as well. But we don't have the volume to support 1 coin, let alone 2 on exchanges. So let me see if I can summarize this question. Well, first off, I don't think as of now, it makes sense for us to try to get Barium back on Bittrex at least. It's on Livecoin. We need you. It really helps to have an exchange somewhere where the miners and there's a market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You need a market. Now, eventually, I would like to see a decentralized method, which I know is one of the benefits with binary chain, so that people can exchange in and out, and so you can easily trade Barium for Vericoin and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we've had a lot of good ideas on that as well, in terms of by doing that, there may be incentives to holding Barium.
Mm-hmm.
You can act as an exchange essentially and be getting fees in the transaction aspects. But yeah, this question, I'm not quite sure. I think the gist of it is getting 2 coins on exchange too much. I actually agree with that. I don't think I think at some point Varium might have a resurgence, and with our modification on the fees, it will then make more sense to consider going on other exchanges, Bittrex or whatever. But for the time being, I don't think it should be a primary objective right now, personally.
Yeah, I think too, like, it's kind of like, you know, like, I mean, we've had periods in Vericoin's history, especially where the volume was very high. And it wasn't, we were doing like zero marketing at the time and stuff like that. We were just kind of riding off of some developmental updates and some releases and some excitement. So I feel like yeah, I think in what Will's saying is correct in a way, but it's really a consequence of the fact that we're not a hot commodity at the moment. And we're also coming out of the overall crypto bear market. So, I think ultimately I want to see decentralized exchanging, and I know we can do it with multi-sig transactions, especially in the Gemini wallet or the binary chain wallet, because both trains will be running. So it'll be quite easy to set those up on a single computer. I'm not sure how practical that is for a phone. We'd have to think about that depending on how the phone implementations work out. But at the same time, we do need on and off ramps to fiats or BTC. And those are going to be centralized, I think, for quite a while. So I think we can grow the internal infrastructure in terms of exchanging considerably. And then the external is going to be this kind of ebb and flow with the market, and the degree to which we need on and off ramping with BTC and fiat and BTC to fiat and so on and so forth. So it's kind of like, I feel like the exchange market is kind of a push and pull between the old system and the new system, the decentralized world and the centralized world. And there's this interdependency where they kind of need each other, but they're not really compatible. And they're going to evolve together, both the decentralized infrastructure and the centralized infrastructure. So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of various changes when it comes to exchanges over the years, both good and bad. And that's kind of why I want to have our focus be our internal P2P exchanging once we get to the point of making binary chain applications and so on. Because a lot of that stuff we can't control, and it's going to depend on the regulatory environment. It's going to depend on how many people are coming in versus how many people are already into crypto, and all these factors. Whether there is a reaction to crypto penetrating the industrialized world, and the regulation gets insane for a period, and then ultimately fails, and then we end up in a different environment. There's so many possible scenarios there, but that doesn't change what we can do on our end between Vericoin and Verium, and that's kind of what I like about it. We're kind of we can create. We need to stay connected, which is kind of like the Bittrex thing is like a reminder. We need to stay connected with the external world and the centralized world and the BTC world and the fiat world to stay afloat and alive and bring new people in. But we can also build an island of our own that is growing despite whatever else is going on around it. And we need to have good sort of bridges to the island. And we build those bridges bigger over time. But I do think there's a lot of unknowns when it comes to exchanges going forward. Just like there has been many unknowns in the past.
Yeah, the island analogy is actually pretty interesting because my mind was thinking about a lot of ways to add on to that analogy, but it's a really good one. If you look on a global map, there's sometimes these little islands, and you're like, oh wow, it's like middle of nowhere. You would never even know it's on the map unless you zoom in enough. But it's a beautiful island, and the people that are on that. But it's a matter of then getting some level of development on that island, building something that people want to then go to the island, and then eventually more pathways, bridges, or whatever.
Yeah.
Right now, we're an island. I mean, let's call it what it is. We're an island. Yeah. But that's also allows us to not be consumed by, or I don't know, I forget the word. Anyway, my mind went blank. There's a word where it's not homogenized, but in communities when it just kind of it loses its own character. And
well, I think there's a lot of projects that have failed because they tethered themselves to some temporary cycle or hype cycle or surge or trend or whatever. And ultimately what they're doing is they're tethering themselves to something that they don't control. And oftentimes that leaves them without control.
Right.
Yeah. And especially when you're trying to take the center, the axis of the true axis of power, which is money, and say, hey, we have this other one that is actually a lot better in a lot of ways, but it's gonna be a tough transition, and there's going to be a lot of reaction potentially, and acceptance at the same time. So I think we need an island, to be honest.
Sure, exactly. Yeah. And I'm fine with that. But as long as we can build that island out and eventually more and more people find out about it, it's got to, but the key is that island has to be special enough that people, like right now, there is no bridge there. So it's harder to get to it. So you got to have something really worth going. You
got to have like a rowboat or something.
Yeah, I know, exactly. So we have a raft or rowboats. That's how you get to it. Those are people that really want to get to the island. Yeah. And the people that are coming to the island see the special aspect of it.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not convenient. It's not easy. No, it's not easy to get to. There's a million other projects to invest in. Why would I invest in the one that no one's ever heard of? Yeah. But either way, okay, I think we should wrap this up. We're close to an hour on it.
Yeah, there is one last question that was put on YouTube. People are asking some update on the white paper. They would like to help on it, to work with, to review and stuff. So
yeah, I still have to do quite a bit of work on the draft. I haven't shifted gears to getting the white paper draft out because we've had some delays with Verium wallet and the fees and the new Bitcoin Core details. So I haven't really shifted focus to the white paper draft, but as soon as we get Verium out, I am going to shift a considerable amount of focus to the white paper draft and get that fleshed out more. And then, like I said, I will post a channel in the Slack with the draft and mention it in general for anyone who wants to contribute. The more the merrier, I think. Once I have a draft, it kind of takes care of the too many cooks in the kitchen while writing problem, but then I'm open to it being changed considerably as well. So I think I'll get the bones together, and then we can collaboratively write the paper with anyone who's interested. But I do think we need a skeleton there first. Otherwise, I think it could go in too many directions and not be quite right. But yeah, so maybe in a few weeks, I'll start really focusing in on that and getting that together. I do want to get the white paper out as soon as possible. It's a very important component of what we need to do to communicate to the world, about what we're doing.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. And like I told you, if you want to send me where you're at on any way I can help you, let me know. I'll do
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think we should wrap it up. Everyone have a good weekend. Be ready for Sunday with the Uber happening.
And have a nice halving, and it's planned for at Paris time. It will be like at around 4 or 5 in the morning. So I think for Doug, you might still be awake. The
Saturday
buildings,
night,
I'm not sure.
It's a late night. Saturday night's a late night.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as always, if you can, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're new to the community and you're just watching this video, I highly encourage you. Slack is the best means of staying in the flow of the conversation with this project.
Slack is the center of the island right now.
Yes. Slack is the old town center. It's where everyone hangs out. So yeah, definitely.
Slack, Discord, all of them they're all connected now. So
yes,
it's not Facebook. We have our own cool little community. Again,
we're too hipster for Facebook.
Exactly. It's we don't have the homogenized, we don't have any fast food restaurants. Everything's custom.
Yeah.
Unique.
Made to order.
No department stores yet. So
the service is a little slow, but it's high quality.
Yeah. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Everyone have a good weekend, and Doug, enjoy your time at the beach. And I am going to get some sleep.
Nice.
I'm just tired.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, take care. Again, we'll see you next time.
See ya, and I put a nice little ending for the live.
Okay.
Oh, cool.